I can finally start ignoring reality again. So, Oscar season finally happened here in New Zealand, and with this, I've actually figured out something about myself. Oscar movies are very hard for me to talk about because whenever I see one, I start thinking, what can I say that hasn't already been said? The thing about Oscar movies is, you kind of know what to expect. The acting is going to be great. The writing is going to be great. You look at the posters for these movies and they have all these gleaming positive comments on them. Have you seen the one for Dallas Buyers Club? That one has like 5 comments. Isn't that a bit much? But with that being said, I went to see these movies, so I'm going to try and give my own views on them. So, here I go. Let's talk about Oscar season. I'd hate to start off with a negative review, but I did not like American Hustle. I thought that the characters were interesting and the acting was really good. The story didn't do anything to support these characters. It's about a hustling duo who are arrested by an FBI agent, and then the FBI agent realizes that these two can help him. It sets up what's actually a good idea for a story, but after that setup, it's mostly just these really boring talk scenes. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against long talk scenes, but too much of this movie is spent on the characters, not enough on the story they're in. Halfway through, I actually forgot what the movie was about or what was even happening in it. I also think it's a tonally inconsistent movie. There are scenes with this very upbeat tone, kind of like a comedy, despite the fact that there are no jokes. Sure, there are some funny moments, but they feel more like that occasional funny moment you have to break the tension in a serious movie. I'm sorry, but American Hustle just bored me. Now this one I actually really liked. First off, Judi Dench. I liked her in the James Bond movies and I like her hair. Second, the writing for this is actually really good. The story is this: an aging woman who lost her son when he was a baby teams up with a journalist to go and find him. With a premise like that, it would have been easier to have made it a total depressing drama, but there's actually elements of comedy in there as well. But it never goes overboard with either of the two elements. It has just the right amount of comedy and drama to keep you interested all the way through. The balance between all of the elements in this movie is perfect. And keep in mind, this is based on a true story. Some of these people really existed. Hell, some of them still exist. So here's something shocking for you. I actually never watched Mary Poppins as a kid. In fact, I've only just watched it for the first time earlier this year. There is kind of a reason for this. I was never interested in it as a kid. The other reason is because I did watch part of it by recording it on our family's DVR. It was to get ready for the Mary Poppins musical, which I thought was really good. However, while watching it, the recording ended halfway through, so I'd only seen half of it. I finally rented it on DVD and saw it just before I saw this movie. Onto a different subject, is it just me, or do some of the best stories have either really dark or really stupid origins? Apparently, George Lucas made up the story of Star Wars as he went along. That explains so much. The reason why I bring this up is because, and I didn't know until I'd heard about this movie, P.L. Travers, the author of the Mary Poppins book series, she hated this movie. She was actually a very cold woman who made this deal 20 years after it was offered to her because the sales of her books were dwindling. Anyway, the movie. Let's start off with the obvious. Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson, really good. These two actors play these characters brilliantly. But that's not what I liked about the movie. What I really liked was the adult portrayal of the two characters and the story. It's just these two people with these two different ideas on how the movie should go. And much like Philomena, there's a good mixture of drama and comedy. And as an aspiring filmmaker myself, I liked how it was set from the pre-production standpoint with them playing the movie out. Then there's the ending, the one moment in this movie where they actually did change history. Disney, if you're watching this, you could have just ended the movie when Disney and Thompson walked into the movie theater. Like leave it up to the audience's imagination. Oh boy, this movie. I liked it. I really liked it. There was a problem. It actually emotionally drained me. Literally, there was a point where it felt like my head had been emptied. It wasn't just the brutality or that it was an unapologetic depiction of human savagery. The thing that aided those elements was the cinematography. Every single shot had thought, care, and attention put into it. It was incredible. I love camera work that puts you in the moment, and there were two moments in this movie that did exactly that. One involving a noose, the other involving a whip, and I dare not spoil them. But like I said, there was a point where it emotionally drained me, and it kind of felt like it was saying, yeah, this era sucked. I wanted to like 12 Years a Slave, and I did. It is an absolutely fantastic movie. I think its one problem is that it might actually be too perfect. This one I think is decent. Not great, not bad, just decent. First off, yes, Matthew McConaughey, pretty damn good. He actually won an Oscar recently. But what I actually didn't like was how somber it felt at times. It's a very quiet atmosphere with these very loud characters. I also didn't like the way the movie looked. Most of the camera work was just sort of hand cam shaky, like it was trying to be realistic. And it kind of works, but I didn't really feel it fit in with this character who's supposed to be very chaotic and very rebellious. Maybe it's just me, and don't get me wrong, it's not a bad movie. It does have a lot to say about the American health system. I just didn't get that true sense of greatness that everybody else apparently got from it. Don't judge me. Where do I even begin with this one? First off, it actually is more than what you think it is just from hearing about it. A 3-hour lesbian porno. This film has a lot to say about sexuality, teenage sexual awakening, and the journey that follows it. But it also talks about stuff like art, the many paths somebody can take in life, and genuine freedom of expression. It manages to juggle all of these elements really well. And I'll give the movie this. It's 3 hours long, and there was never a moment where I wanted it to end. And last but not least, Her. Without a doubt, my favorite out of all of these. Here's the thing. Walking into this, I kinda knew I was gonna see something of myself in it. It's about a guy who plays video games, spends too much time around computers, and then falls in love with one. And before you argue that that sounds like a creepy idea, in my opinion, it's not, and here's why. The reason why the relationship in this works is because Samantha is a strikingly human character. She has a heart and mind of her own. Also, the way the movie is shot and the way they portray the romance, it makes you imagine this female body standing right next to Theodore. I also like the parallels to the presents. Stuff like the names people think up for internet aliases and lots of people looking at their phones. And on top of that, the ending of this movie, which I will not spoil, couldn't have been done better. The only thing I didn't like about this movie was the comedy. I did get a laugh out of it sometimes, but most of it just felt like saying the F word over and over again. Other than that, Her is brilliant. Go see it now. Well, there's my Oscar season roundup. What did you think of these movies? Feel free to type your opinions in that big empty box below. And for now, goodbye.